was gonna say this place looks like a rundown dump that's been abandoned for ages. It's apparently the place we're looking for. Ta-da! Hold up the watch. Thank you!
Captain, everyone will be in the library, just inside. If Barrett were here, he'd probably tell you that you're part of something bigger now, and he hopes you'll make this place your home.
Oh, please.
I bet that model of Apollo would sell for a lot. Especially to that collector guy.
You two keep going on like this, and I'm banning wages. I'm serious.
We'll play nice. Just a little friendly conversation, Sarah.
My morpher doesn't open things? Rip off. That watch should be on my belt buckle, and then we could rip it off like a Power Ranger morpher and be like, morphin' time, and lock doors with it.
Well,
that door.
Welcome to Constellation. We have a lot to talk about. Would you care to tell us what happened to our friend? Why you're here and he isn't?
Pirates attacked. Barrett asked me to deliver the artifact. Who are you, actually, to be demanding shit of me?
Sarah Morgan, chair of Constellation. That means anything you
that your head's up your
discuss with
butt. Yeah, I
Barrett
get it.
Is my business. Now, if you would please answer my question.
Well, she said please. I guess that's, you know, polite. Sure.
I see. Vasco, verify.
All statements made have been factual.
This is just typical. Barrett hands over our ship and our robot to some random employee of that discount mining outfit he uses.
Walter.
And if we hadn't insisted on installing those emergency protocols, I guarantee you this rock breaker here would be halfway to Neon.
But that didn't happen. She's here, with the artifact.
Thank you, Matteo. Now, let's focus on what's in front of us, shall we? What happened when it was extracted? Did anyone see anything? Hear anything?
It was bright lights and music.
Interesting. Similar to Barrett's description of the experience, with less embellishment.
There. Are you hearing this? Do you all believe me now?
Whether it happened or not wasn't in doubt. But honestly, Country, if you expect us to believe in fairy
If this is the greatest mystery in the universe,
Why couldn't it be part of the ultimate mystery?
But gentlemen, can we please focus? Noelle, I think it's time we tested your theory.
Right. Let's see.
For whatever reason, she makes me think
We
of
know the artifacts react
Ally
to each other.
McBeal.
The
Except
pieces
the
we
voice is
already
wrong.
have move when they're in close contact. Now, if we add this new one to the two we already have...
The artifact. If you could place it on the table here.
Wait a minute, you already had two people? But Barrett seemed to only know about one other. Himself. Who's the other one?
If you could put the artifact on the table.
If you'll tell me who's the other person who had visions. And where's the third one come from?
That's it. Just like the others.
And to imagine, we thought there were only two of them at first.
Oh my god, that's it. They're reacting. Look at how it's coming together. That energy that's arcing between them, no manufactured material in the settled systems can do that. None of them. This proves
Easy, girl. Breathe. You'll have a heart attack.
She's not the only one. If they're coming together, that means there's a set.
Built by an intelligence outside the settled systems.
Still 2,000 credits for our little wager, Country?
you're on, Walter.
Well,
Seems
if
like
you
we're
had all
missing
the
pieces.
answers, it wouldn't be exciting. Now, would it?
Not to take away from the moment, but what are we going to do about our new friend here?
So, are you ready to get to work? See if exploration is the life you want to lead in this little universe of ours?
How much do you know about the artifacts? What are they?
Individually, they're just odd hunks of metal. Another oddity from the uncharted reaches of space. As to what they are, what they're building, well, you'll be part of solving that puzzle now.
Saying that individually they're hunks of metal is so bullshit. They're clearly something more, it's just you need all the pieces for it to really work.
We're all here because we're committed to exploring space. Humanity may
Need
have
to be
settled the
committed.
stars, but that doesn't mean we should stop diving into the unknown. Beyond that, you'll be expected to use your own judgment, just like the rest of us.
Alright, tell me what happens next.
You should take some time to get settled in. Introduce yourself to everyone. Some of our members aren't here, but you'll meet them soon. Come find me when you're ready. You and I are going to be doing some traveling together. Get your feet wet. And here, I think you've earned something for bringing the artifact to us. In addition to credits, why don't we set you up with a backpack with some boost capability? You'll need it out in the field
Already
anyway.
have one.
Just mind your head.
Hey, leveled up!
I know everyone's excited by the artifacts, but we need to be as objective as possible and be aware of possible negative effects.
I trust you're still satisfied with your choice to join Constellation, Noelle?
Yes, ma'am, of course. I honestly can't imagine being anywhere else.
Just making sure. Bright young girl like you, there are no shortage of opportunities.
It's not always easy, but I just remind myself that if it weren't for you, and for Constellation, I'd have no idea that any of this was going on. That was intense, wasn't it? The artifacts, I mean. Sorry, this must all be a little overwhelming for you right now. I guess a lot overwhelming, now that I think about it. I'm Noelle. It's really nice to meet you. And thank you for bringing the artifact to us.
Yeah, no problem. The vision I saw, what do you think it was?
Oh, right, that. If we're approaching this rationally,
Probably a message,
I suppose
maybe?
we'd call them visual and auditory hallucinations. What you perceived as lights and music could be overloaded neural input, your brain's attempt to make sense of something. An energy surge, some other phenomenon.
It wasn't random synapses firings. It means something.
Sure, I'm not trying to suggest otherwise. I wasn't there when it happened. I'm just thinking it through.
Okay.
It's okay. Now that this has happened to both you and Barrett, we can know to maybe expect it in the future. Be a little more prepared. We're all in this together now, right?
Okay, then maybe believe me when I said it's more than just random bullshit and make assumptions based on that fact and not just the whatever the hell bullshit you're dealing with. Science. Although I like science, so maybe it's not such a bad thing. You know a lot about these artifacts, huh?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, that's flattering, but really, we're making this up as we go. Until you arrived, we only had the two, and the vaguest sense that there was something more at work. There's still so much we don't know, and that means a lot of work ahead of us.
Types of exploration besides artifacts?
Of course, there's plenty of planets out there that no one has ever set foot on, and everything we learn about them is valuable. We have a board where we post anything specific we're looking for. A type of alien flora or fauna, or a planet with a specific quality, like if it's primed to have life but doesn't yet.
Alright. How can I help you learn more? Or how long have you been working on this?
Well, Constellation's been around forever, more than 50 years now. But we only became aware of the artifacts recently. Barrett discovered the first one about 2 years ago, right under our noses. And he was the one who got this all in motion. It's a shame he isn't here to see this. Everything all right?
According to her, I'm like 80% the way to having been here forever. How can I help you?
Well, right now nothing's off the table. Metallurgical analysis, chemical composition, I'm looking at everything. One thing I'm really trying to improve is my overall database of xenobiology. I don't know if it will help in this case, but the more we know about, well, everything, the better off we are, right? Speaking of, if you're gonna be out there looking for more artifacts, you're bound to come across some interesting specimens. Anything organic, I'd be happy to take it off your hands.
Organic stuff. Got it.
There's a galaxy chock full of resources. The more data I have, the more thorough an analysis I can do. And if it sweetens the deal, I can pay. Pretty well, too. Walter's pockets may not be bottomless, but they are pretty deep.
Now here I thought when she mentioned that needing xenobiology information, the book that I sold about xenobiology would have been something useful. Guess not. Got some organics for you.
Okay, let's take a look.
Or I thought I did. Did I already sell it? No, it's just that stuff. That should be good. Doesn't seem to matter. Seems to be just about making money, not about getting anything out of it.
Planning on sticking around then? Good. I think we can find a spot for you. And along the way, I can give you the very abbreviated tour.
This place is kind of cool.
You mind if I ask you kind of a personal question, Walter?
Oh, check
You
out
sure
this
spend
thing.
a lot of time on constellation business. Doesn't Issa miss you?
Ah, yes, well. My wife and I have something of an understanding. I'm told that when I'm not here, I'm distracted by what I might be missing, and wind up crabby. Or, my personal favorite, irascible. My darling Issa has concluded that it is in both of our best
I feel like I've
interests
been
if I
waiting
can
my whole
spend my
life for
time
this.
working from the
Constellation,
loft
the
as often
artifacts.
as possible.
That doesn't sound crazy,
then.
does it?
I guess if you're both okay with it. I hope Barrett makes it back to us. I know he gets into trouble all the time, and everyone just
Or we're
sort of
talking
accepts he'll
really-
be fine, but still.
Peeves me. Wasn't she going to show us where our room was, or like a tour? Oh, check it out. Does that not look a lot like one of those boats that we destroyed in the graveyard, ship graveyard simulator? Hey, Milo. That's my puppy. Milo. Apparently, he's not paying attention to me right now.
Have you
Ooh,
talked to
fancy
Vladimir
compass.
recently? Face to face, I mean.
Huh. Guess it's been a while. Why?
Oh, I just
Oh, a fake
don't know how he
star.
does it. Up there all alone for so long.
Some people love that kind of space. Pun intended.
Ask if you've got questions. Speak up if you have ideas. We're all here for the same reason. Are you doing okay? I'm not sure anyone really asked yet. Don't want you to think we're focused on the artifacts and nothing else. You matter too. You've done something really significant bringing that artifact here. I'm Mateo, theological scholar by trade, but now, well, an explorer like you. It's really good to have you with us.
Yeah. Something tells me they don't really care too much about me beyond the fact that I brought the artifact or whatever. Hey, puppy. How's it going? What are you looking for, Milo? Do you just want under the blanket? He's trying to go under the blanket. There. How's that? Yep. He wanted to be under the blanket. These artifacts all came out of caves?
Second one was on Kazal, buried, the same as the one you found. But the first one, right under our noses for years, sitting in storage, masquerading as an oversized paperweight. Can you imagine potentially the greatest discovery in human history collecting dust?
I'm just a walking
What do you think the other ones were doing in the caves?
You
What do
don't
you make of the vision I
fool
saw?
I'm not gonna lie, I really wish I could have seen this for myself. It's hard to judge otherwise. Both you and Barrett saw something. I don't think that's a coincidence. Did it feel like it was trying to tell you something? I don't want to necessarily use the words divine revelation, but you know,
He did just use them.
if the label fits.
If it meant something I didn't understand. I know it's important. I can feel it. You think this was religious?
Not necessarily, no, but it does kind of have the hallmarks of one, doesn't it? I'm certainly not going to rule it out just yet.
I can feel that it's important.
It has to be, right? All of this is connected. We just need to figure out how and why. We're
feel
gonna get
like
to the bottom of this.
It's
We just
important.
need more
Like
data,
it could be
which means more artifacts.
the main quest of a video game. Like one that you're living in, you know?
Well, there was some overlap in interests. I'd spent years searching for religious relics from human history. I had made a really incredible discovery, only to lose it to a greedy corporation. So I tried to steal it back. In the process, I met Walter. Turned out he owned the corporation. After a long talk, we realized we had a lot in common, and I was invited to join Constellation.
Less stealing now, I hope.
Take care of yourself.
Hey, Grump.
Take note. Everyone here is worth learning from. Yes, even the kid. Well, I suppose calling you a rock breaker may have been a bit out of line.
I've been called worse.
Still doesn't excuse it. My frustrations lie more with Barrett. Not the first time his shenanigans have jeopardized one of our ventures. Not fair of me to take it out on you, especially since it would seem he made the right call this time. So, let's start over, shall we? Walter Stroud, CEO of Stroud Eklund, member of Constellation, and oft-times grumpy old man. Welcome aboard.
No worries, I get it. I'm like 20% grumpy old man. Thankfully, 80%. Something much better. I hope the drinks are at least free. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, I guess.
By the way, in addition to a place to stay, the Lodge has a wealth of modification and research equipment. Spacesuit customization, pharmaceutical manufacturing, testing alien substances, the whole thing. You can even fashion industrial pieces for large-scale projects, if you don't mind extracting a few raw resources from a nearby planet, that is. I'm a fan of self-reliance, so I encourage you to make use of the tools we have to build what you need.
Sounds like a pit, like a commercial pitch, you know? This isn't where I expect to find a CEO. What kind of company is Stroud Eklund?
We're most well known for ship manufacture. No expense spared. If you want the best and can afford it, you choose Stroud Eklund. Unfortunately, our success means you'll sometimes see Stroud Eklund ship modules on less than reputable vessels. They covet them. The bastards. I've tried to convince the United Colonies we can help in that regard, but they're married to Deimos Star Yards, and those old salts are stuck in the glory days.
You think the vision I had means anything?
Up until very recently, I'd likely have dismissed it as, I don't know, hallucinations. But now, I'm not sure what to think. I don't suppose you have a history of this sort of thing, do you?
I've never seen anything like that in my life. Oh, I see lights and hear music all the time. It's a non-stop party in my head. Maybe he's got, like, some kind of neural chip that downloads Spotify to the brain. Who knows? Never seen anything like it in my life.
Yes, I imagined as much. Barrett expressed something similar in his own unique way. I'm no scientist. I leave that to the likes of Barrett and young Noel there. But I think we can all agree there's something unusual going on here. Frankly, this is the most exciting thing that's happened in years.
He's excited. So you're just the wallet or what?
Me? Why, I'm the wallet.
Called it.
Someone has to fund all this, and all my success in business doesn't mean much if I can't put it to good use. I don't pretend to have the daring of Ms. Morgan, or the smarts of young Mateo, but I can make sure that they have the resources they need. And, as you've now seen, those resources aren't being wasted. We're onto something big here.
Alright. Thanks for stopping by, Minson. I appreciate you hanging out. Hope to see you tomorrow for... What game did we start? What's the other game we were playing? Oh, right, we finished that one. I'm not sure what tomorrow morning's game is going to be. Are we going to split the games between Mass Effect and Starfield? They're very similar. I don't know. Isn't where I expect to find a CEO.
Funny thing about companies, you build one sturdy enough, it doesn't need you there all the time to prop it up. Stroud Eklund functions quite well on a day-to-day basis, leaving me time to devote to more esoteric pursuits. For years, I was captivated by the writings of Constellation's founder, Sebastian Banks. I finally decided to do something more than admire from a distance, and so now I call the lodge home as much as anywhere else.
You know, I think I've always heard that as esoteric more than esoteric. I'm sure it's just potato pronunciation bullshit, but now that I think about it, it's like it's always been spelled esoteric. Why have I always pronounced it esoteric?
Until next time.
Huh. I guess I'm just an idiot.
So, Mateo,
We all are,
like
so it
any
makes
new
sense.
religious texts?
Art Deco
Very
sun
funny, Walter.
sculptures.
You know Constellation's been keeping me busy.
I know you too
We
well
could
to
steal
believe
quite a
that.
bit from this place.
You've got to have a line on something.
It's
like
been
this
quieter
thing.
around here ever since Vladimir
There's
went
a
to live on the
chance
eye
that
full
a
time.
15th century edition of Aquinas' Summa
Vladimir.
We've
Theologica
always
is
considered
out there.
ourselves explorers.
I've been asking a few
but this
questions
really...
in my
Stay
spare
safe,
time.
okay?
And that's it. Mariner's compass. Not bad value.
I am at your service, Captain.
Built-in green yard. A greenhouse. The mad scribblings. Alright,
Something
let's
you
go
need?
check out some posters, I guess. The artwork's pretty decent in the game. They did a pretty good job having many different styles. Alien tick. Ew. Flower looks kind of cool though. Unlocked with the lodge key. Is this our bedroom here? Oh, that's going down to the basement. Could still be to our room, but it makes me feel like that's where you go for them to get rid of us. Oh, it goes higher. They got a full-on bar up here. Check this place. This could be like a full-on tavern. A scroll holder. We got some dots. The dartboard seems to have planets on it. A Okay, that's a neat picture. I like that one. Wow, this place is bigger than I thought. A lot bigger. A display projector. 4 kilograms. It's like 9 pounds. Well, 8.8. Okay, 35. Chandra Chardonnay. We got fancy ice. Fancy ice bucket. Cocktail tumbler. I was hoping for whiskey glasses, but I'll take what I can get. No. Can't even pickpocket the safe or whatever, because we just have access. Ooh, what's this? Chronomark watch case. Oh. I just picked it up. I was hoping you'd show the way it opens in game. $1.6 and 90, not worth it. That bed does not look like it'd be that comfortable. That's an expensive bottle. Another watch. Plus some binoculars. David Copperfield. Chapter 1. I am born. Whether I shall turn out to be the hero of my own life, or whether that station will be held by anybody else, these pages must show, to begin my life with the beginning of my life, I record that I was born, as I have been informed and believe, on a Friday at 12 o'clock at night. It was remarked that the clock began to strike, and I began to cry simultaneously. First published as a serial from 1849 to 1850, Charles Dickens' David Copperfield tells the tale of a magician growing up to become a man. Wait. I think that might be a different Copperfield. Looking back on his own life and all the events that shaped him, like making the Statue of Liberty disappear. And then later a 747, I believe. Paradiso Complex, the tale of Bayonetta. An excerpt from the Paradiso Complex, a novel quite obviously written for the Paradiso group in an attempt to market the resort to a wider audience. The writing is often atrocious and hard to take seriously. She felt the warm, perfect air on her face. Marabella paused to adjust the straps on her bikini, then threw the ball back to Billy, who was sipping a nice, cool, perfectly mixed Perfection Aqua Blast from Paradiso Cantina. He thought about how just days ago he was toiling away in an office building in New Atlantis, but somehow this trip to Paradiso had been the best thing that ever happened to him. Paradiso might be the best thing that has ever happened to anyone, he said, as he playfully batted the ball out of the way. Marabella laughed. I've been to every resort in the galaxy, and none of them are as perfect as Paradiso. She bit her lip and sauntered over to Billy, sexily. Do you want to go back to my exclusive Paradiso Beach Cabana rental unit? I got it for a very reasonable price. And it has all the latest comforts and amenities you expect from a luxury top quality resort. Billy nodded. Yes, and then later maybe we can go to Simon's Rooftop Lounge for some of the best live entertainment and most delicious mixed drinks this side of the settled systems. That's so bad. It makes me think of that writing in the in Quantum Break when the guy was like writing a movie script, but he was kind of using it to like, he wanted to be a writer and he wanted the doctor lady he had a crush on to proofread the science stuff, but it was basically a self-insert for him being better than his boss. Fields of Everglass. An excerpt from a highly acclaimed novel, Fields of Everglass, set in the near future during a fictional wartime era. And yet, Tal At did not back down. No, sir, I won't fire on them. Regardless of what you say, they did. Those soldiers were once like us. They are our family. We have no reason to fight them. This impressed Florence. Was Talat really willing to put everything on the line just to protect his compatriots? She knew the war was ridiculous, but to see him face his commander now and absolutely refuse a direct order, knowing that it could amount to treason. This was the same Talat who no more than a week ago had carried out an order to ambush and lock up her entire squad. She knew there was a gentleness to the man, but until now she had not been able to know for sure just how reasonable he could be. You're out of line, soldier. You want to think about what you're doing and run that by me one more time? Commander Greason barked. Spittle flew. His face was turning bright red with anger. Greason was not accustomed to disobedience. You heard me. I will not repeat myself. Talat looked over to Florence. She knew the gravity of the situation, but she had taught him so much about this unjust war in their few short days together. In that in this moment he decided, even if it cost him gravely, he would do the right thing. As he noticed the other officers began to shuffle uncomfortably, noting a break in their resolve, a smirk crossed his face. The cracks began to show. He knew the tide was about to turn, and that his small act of defiance could be the one to usher in the end of this foolish conflict. Because everybody knows standing up to one captain in the war will get everybody else to stand down. No thoughts, ifs, ands, or buts. Inaccessible. Oh man, how am I supposed to get the sweet, sweet loots if they don't let? Ooh, did you pick? They don't let me pick the lock. Ooh, incense burner. Hey, check it out. It's the ship. Right? That's the one we've been flying around in. They got a miniature of it. Actually, that's not quite the one we've been flying around in. That's a different one. Similar, but different. Small crystal desk 5. Take that. A large one? Crystal desk 5. Oh look, there's even paintings on the wall. Okay, that one's kind of cool. That one's not bad either. Ooh, this one's really cool. It's got a spaceship in it and like a cloudy planet with like spikies coming out of it. Sailboat! No, I didn't even notice this weird art piece there. Binocular, not worth grabbing. Nope. Nope. Exotic wood decoration. Worth quite a bit. Ooh, a lamp planter. Yoink. Sir Livingston's second journal. I heard tell from some of the old-timers in that, although the Earth suffered its sad fate, that her faithful companion Luna fared much better. Apparently, you can still find the remnants of one of the old Apollo missions, something of a secret rite of passage for chairs of consolation, if Banks was to be believed. During one of those rare interludes of calm while doing the other research on Earth, I figured I could spare the time. I was, as they say, in the neighborhood. It took some serious scanning and a couple of false leads, but I found it. To walk in the same place as those earliest of interstellar explorers. Unbelievable what they achieved with such primitive tech. I found the whole experience moving, inspiring. I would advise my successor to do the same. We'll make a proper tradition of it. All right, we got to go to come to Sol System and then visit Luna. Too heavy. Oh, speaking of bonsai, that's kind of bonsai-ish. It's like a little bonsai cherry blossom tree. Ooh. I think we know whose room this is. Oh, that probably wasn't worth it. $350 for that. Ooh, desktop fish bowl. And it's not worth more than... Ooh, that one's worth it. Cosmetic supply box. Personal digiframe. Yoink. Anything else lootable? Oh wow, lots lootable here. My friendly Wilby? It looks adorable. I want a Wilby. Look at that cute little thing. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the precipitate. Oh, that's hilarious. Ooh, check this place out. Economic Meltdown. Ooh, a toy spaceship. Looks cool. Return of the Inspector, coming this fall. Instant oatmeal. A deck of cards. Board game. Oh. Symbol game mat. This would be like, there, we got the board game set up. Oh no, they're playing without me. Solar Frontiers. Game Piece, the Snow Lord. We got an alien trilobite. Okay, that's a pretty decent baseball poster there. Or sorry, not baseball, bat ball. Kind of looks like a cross between baseball and lacrosse. Or not lacrosse, sorry. The what's the one the Brits play with the paddles? Oh, the name is like right on my tongue, and it's slipping away every time. Yoink. Is it cricket? I think there's another one besides cricket, but cricket might actually be the one I was thinking of. All right. No, I'm getting the hiccups. No. Well, holding my breath isn't helping. Pardon me while I deal with the hiccups. Ooh, look how small the ship looks there. Yet these look a lot like the ones that jutted up from the cloud. At a similar scale, even. based on the holes in the train. Not the thing I was looking for, but that looks pretty cool too. Oh, check out the skull. Dang it. Kind of makes me think of dinosaurs. Great Expectations. My father's family name being... and my Christian name, Philip. My infant tongue could not make out both names, nothing longer or more explicit than Pip. So I called myself Pip, and came to be called Pip. My sister couldn't pronounce my name when I was a little baby. That's why I became... excuse me, that's why I was called Digger for the longest time. Nicholas Nickleby. Chapter 1 introduces all the rest. There once lived in a sequestered part of the country of Devonshire, Mr. Godfrey Nickleby, a worthy gentleman who, taking it into his head rather late in life that he must get married, and not being young enough or rich enough to inspire to the hand a lady of fortune, had wedded an old flame out of mere attachment, who in her turn had taken him for the same reason. Thus, two people who cannot afford to play cards for money sometimes sit down to a quiet game for love. Aw, that's kind of beautiful. Ditto. Oh my goodness. I am going to... Ooh, origami sculpture. Moby Dick, Story of the Heavens. Great Expectations. Call Me Ishmael. Some years ago, never mind how long precisely, having little or no money in my purse and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought I would sail about a little and see the watery part of the world. So yeah, that was the line that I was given in like grade 8 English class and I was supposed to use it to start my own short story. And the teacher failed me for trying to subvert the project or whatever, because I started out with "Call Me Ishmael," and then it turned out like really quickly as the person, like the writer it was supposed to be like he was talking to a police officer that was trying to arrest him for some bullshit, and he's like, "Yeah, you can call me Ishmael. That's my day." Blah blah blah, and then ran off and went off on some weird tangent. The people in the class thought the story was good. The teacher hated it. It's like she expected me to write Moby Dick. Maybe the guy with the giant white boner. I didn't explicitly say it was a giant white boner, but it was kind of described enough, and it was trying to be explicit. Like it was Moby Dick from a certain perspective, if you know what I mean. I was being a little cheeky. Maybe that could have been part of it too. Although she never mentioned that part. She only ever mentioned the first part. Ooh, this one's worth a lot. Story of the Heavens. Ever since Neil Armstrong first set foot on the moon in 1969, humanity has been obsessed with the idea of permanently breaking free of the confines of Earth's gravity. Not just visiting other planets, but settling them. Truly living among the stars. In the mid-20th century, that dream proved short-lived. The Apollo 17 mission in 1972 was the last time humans set foot on the moon. And for several decades afterwards, NASA's missions seemed to focus on orbital space shuttle flights and unmanned reconnaissance. The dream of galactic exploration, while not exactly dead, was definitely sitting on the back of a dusty shelf. And then in the year 2016, everything changed. A team of scientists announced that they had actually detected for the first time the gravitational waves of Albert Einstein proposed a century earlier in his general theory of relativity, scientific postulating. Even great scientific postulating by one of humanity's greatest minds was still just so many formulas on paper. But the discovery of gravitational waves changed all that. Thanks to LIGO, theory became reality, and that reality fostered renewed hope in humanity's ability to understand and manipulate excuse me, manipulate space-time, and more importantly, it rekindled the great dream of space exploration and expansion. Of course. 1 second. Maybe a drink of water will help. And more importantly, it rekindled the great dream of space exploration and expansion. Of course, even after the discovery of gravitational waves, there was still much work to be done. Humanity had not yet traveled beyond Earth's planetary system. Damn it. So that was the first goal, one that was accomplished when humans first set foot on Mars in the year 2050. She trying to grow some pot? Funky sphere scripture? That's a scripture? Oh. Oh. We got Dracula, The Origin of the Species, Great Expectations again. Alright. It'd be interesting if different books actually contain different excerpts, so if you got enough of the books, you get the full story. Oh. The Origin of the Species. Ooh, Charles Darwin. Chapter 1, Variation under Domestication. Included is a rather incomprehensible list of varieties of species. When we look to the individuals of the same variety or sub-variety of older cultivate plants and animals, one of the first points which strikes us is that they generally differ much more from each other than do the individuals of any one species or variety in a state of nature. When we reflect on the vast diversity of the plants and animals which have been cultivated, and which have varied during all ages under the most different climates and treatments, I think we are driven to conclude that this greater variability is simply due to our domestic productions having been raised under conditions of life not so uniform as and somewhat different from those to which the parent species have been exposed under nature. Darwin's theory on the origin of the species on Earth continues through 14 full chapters. And Dracula. Chapter 1, Jonathan Harker's journal, kept in shorthand. 3rd of May, Bistritz left Munich at 8:35 p.m. On the 1st of May, arriving in Vienna early next morning, should have arrived at 6:46, but train was an hour late. Budapest seems a wonderful place from the glimpse which I got of it from the train and the little I could walk through the streets. I feared to go very far from the station, as we had arrived late and would start near the correct time as possible. The impression I had was that we were leaving the west and entering the east, the most western of splendid bridges over the Danube, which is here of noble width and depth, took us among the traditions of Turkish rule. So begins Bram Stoker's 1897 masterpiece Dracula, a book that would define horror for generations to come. Not Keanu Reeves' best performance, I'll tell you that. Ooh, sculptures. They wanted me to clean up after them. Said they needed all new cutlery because this stuff was all dirty and they wanted fresh, clean stuff. Yep. That's my story and ooh, Chardonnay. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Utensil tray, not worth grabbing. Still going to try to limit it to at least $100, mainly because we're close to a store. Sir Livingston's Journal 1. Sir Malcolm Livingston's appointment to the role of Constellation Chair was controversial to say the least, as he ascended. Wait, is this the for? Nope, it's different. Same opening little quip, but different entry. As he essentially bought his way into the position. Nevertheless, Banks' contribution to the organization was substantial, as evidenced by this excerpt from a personal journal. In time, the others will come to accept me as chair, I'm sure. Until then, I'll remain committed to improving the organization to the best of my abilities. And if those improvements rely even more on my already considerable monetary contributions, then so gosh darn be it. I agreed we needed a robot, but disagreed with the purchase of a newer model. Aluna Robotics is a shadow of what it once was. Instead, I managed to procure an original Model A, manufactured on the moon. Bought him for a song, found him rusting in some junk heap in Aquila City. I'm having him refurbished as I write this, and if a couple of days he'll be as good as new. I've decided to name him Vasco, and like his namesake, I imagine he'll be as flawed as he is effective. My next step is renovating the lodge. Sebastian Banks has the good sense to name the building appropriately, but it's time to inject a bit of old world grandeur. If we are to be able to be the gatekeepers of art, science, culture, and exploration, our headquarters must express that. It's time I called in some favors and searched in those hidden corners of the settled systems to procure the things that would truly make this place come alive. There are some treasures from old Earth that desperately need an appropriate home. All right. That was very much furnished from the eye of a uber rich. Perhaps even someone that owns stock in Uber. Who knows? A fancy compass. A Clark Lewis. I reached the hall at approximately 1348 Sol time. As expected, all internal systems were offline. Emergency power had ceased to function years earlier. So I was navigating the ship in 0G again. I expected that. Almost immediately, I started seeing the bodies. They were everywhere. The crew, the settlers, all of them, drifting through the ship. What surprised me were the obvious variations in the cause of death. Those not in suits were frozen and fairly well preserved, and I imagine some of them actually asphyxiated. Others were emaciated. Or emaciated, if you want. As if they had starved prior to death and freezing. Others had substantial wounds, gunshots, stab wounds. I even found an arm floating amongst the debris, but not the owner of said arm. It was when I got to the engine room that things finally started to make sense. Due to my approach, I hadn't noticed it from the outside, but half the compartment was actually gone, completely destroyed. The helium-3 tanks had ruptured somehow. Sabotage, perhaps? Faulty equipment? Wasn't clear. But the reactor was gone. Blown into space. No helium-3 meant no jumping. No reactor meant no engines, no thrusters. That meant the Clark Lewis was dead in space forever. Not the Lewis Clark? Or Lewis and Clark? Clark and Lewis will forever be Superman's couple. A few personal logs I discovered only confirmed what I assumed. Life on the Clark Lewis devolved over the course of the next few years. Some people starved to death, others resorted to violence and even murder. There was even some compelling, though unsubstantiated evidence indicating cannibalism. For the settled systems at large, the disappearance of the Clark Lewis is a topic of urban legend, like Bigfoot or the Roanoke colony. Part of the myth held that the ship had made it to some Eden-like planet, where the entire settlers had established a kind of utopia. It's a hell of a thing knowing something an entire galaxy does not, holding on to a truth so terrible you're not even sure it should see the light of day. Chloe Bow's extensive 2282 report on the destruction of the Clark Lewis colony ship was reported lost in the year 2257. Was a subject of much contention within the constellation. At a time when space exploration was already in decline, Sebastian Banks feared that the horrifying story of the Clark Lewis and its crew would prevent people from venturing out into the dangerous unknowns of space. That's fair, actually. How easily something like tragedies have derailed. Derailed progress due to something like that. AJ Masso's died.